Trigger warning, today's video contains heavy topics, so if that's not for you, maybe skip this one. My negligence cost my partner her life, and I'm about to lose everything. I, 35 male, have been married to Lisa, 28 female, for 3 years. Together, 7. I fell deeply in love with Amy, 24 female, and had been planning to end my marriage for her. I know it's terrible and not what my wife deserves, but we were the real thing. And what was your wife then? The starter course? 2 weeks ago, she had an allergic reaction when we were getting food after work, but she used her EpiPen and seemed mostly okay afterwards. That sounds horrifying. I hope you guys went straight to the hospital after she used her EpiPen. She usually gets checked at the hospital after a reaction, but I asked if I could take her home and she could get her friend to drive her there because my wife was expecting me back. Okay, so my first question is this a normal thing for her to get allergic reactions? You said usually she gets checked after a reaction. How many times this happened before? My second question is, what do you mean you didn't brought her to the hospital straight away? Using an EpiPen doesn't fix the problem, it just delays it. They have to see a doctor as soon as possible. I'm just confused because according to the details you gave, this wasn't the first time this happened. So if you experienced this before, how didn't you know how to react? Also, the part where you said you left her because your wife expected you. Are you serious? All I know is that she had a secondary reaction that evening and died. That is terrible and could have been avoided so easily. All she needed to reach a hospital. I didn't even find out about it until the following Monday through a work email. It has been eating me up ever since, and I will never forgive myself for not sacrificing an hour of my time to possibly save her. Let me make one thing clear. I cannot even comprehend how can a 35-year-old man be this irresponsible. It's not like she possibly would have survived if you sacrifice an hour of your time. She would be alive today. Period. I sent some childish messages to Amy when I didn't hear from her over the weekend because I thought she was angry I didn't take her to the hospital. I am thankful she never saw them and ashamed that I assumed the worst. I mean, if she would have seen those messages, that would mean she would be still alive. The worst thing that you assumed, that wasn't the worst thing that happened. What happened was 100 times worse. Our relationship was great and the highs far outweighed the lows. But I have always hated being ignored and I lose my cool when it happens. This guy, he's talking about hating to be ignored. And he's ignoring his girlfriend and she dies because of it. How is this even real? It is not a regular occurrence and I would have more than made it up to her. This is so weird. Why does he even thinking about that? He cannot make up anything to her ever again. Does that registrate? Yesterday at work, HR and legal were in the CEO's office all day and my manager ended up canceling our project meeting because he was with them all afternoon. I was on the edge, but an affair isn't exactly a corporate crisis, and I thought something would have already happened if anyone knew. I am now 99% certain it was about me. Okay, that's because somebody found her. And then probably they looked at her phone and saw your text. So the affair is out. The fact that you left her there is out. So yeah, I am 1000% sure the meeting was about you. A few hours ago, I received a message from Amy's phone which said, "This is Amy's brother, Tom. I want you to know, it was me. I tried to call, but it went straight to voicemail and none of my messages have been delivered." After this message, you still only 99% sure that that meeting was about you? One thing is sure, OP is super weird. I tried to call my manager more times than I should have and he sent a message saying, "Please don't contact me until Monday morning. I can't discuss anything with you right now." So it looks like my universe is going to collapse. Oh no, poor me. Everybody's gonna be mad at me when, because of me, somebody died. I am going to be fired and my wife will definitely find out why. All I can do is hope that Amy's brother only showed them the messages from that weekend, and they were bad enough. I have no family except my wife and daughter and nowhere to go. All of my friends are either people I've met through my wife or my colleagues. On Monday, everything I spent over a decade working towards disappears. I can't stop it. I can't talk to anyone about it. So here I am. I know cheaters are the devil, so I'm not expecting sympathy, but this is making my chest hurt and I need to get it out there. I don't really understand what OP expected with this post. He told us at the beginning his negligence cost his girlfriend's life, but it doesn't seem like that bothers him at all. He only cares about what's gonna happen to him. And he mentioned he was in love with this girl, but then he doesn't care if she died? Like, what the actual My brain just cannot comprehend this. But we have an update, so let's see what happens after this. Honestly, I hope he will lose everything. I have been consistently harassed for an update since posting, so please take it, gloat because you're such wonderful people in comparison, then stop following me around Reddit. I love the fact that he has this outburst when he made the decision to share the story with Reddit. What the actual did he expected? Did he really thought that people are gonna feel sorry for him? I am suffering in the wake of my infidelity and unprofessional behavior as I knew I would. I understand that it is an appropriate outcome and I'm taking full accountability. I'm gonna decide if you take full accountability or not after I read the rest of the post. Because so far the only thing I know about you is that you cannot be trusted. I was suspended from work on Monday and I'd probably be fired sooner than I thought. Good. The next thing I want to read is that your wife is gonna divorce you as well. I'd hope to be able to save money as HR built their case, but it looks like Amy's brother basically performed the entire investigation for them. No sh**. Everything was on Amy's phone. All he needed was the passcode if Amy had one. He didn't have to investigate anything. The proof was served on a silver platter, and I'm here for it. After an excruciating 3 hours run-through of everything they had, I spoke to the founder, and he recommended the solicitor I am now using. The issue is that the company has to come down hard to protect themselves, because even though Amy's family doesn't have much chance of a claim, any suggestion of a cover-up could cause damage regardless. The founder still thinks my offer to pay them back will keep out of court, and some more information has come to light. So it's not certain I won't be prosecuted, but I'm quietly hopeful. I can't afford to keep the solicitor if this goes much further, especially with a divorce on the horizon. I love how he said he takes accountability for everything, but I cannot see a hint of regret or guilt or sadness. All he wants is to go through this without any damage to his life. How can he expect that? How he can even live with himself after what he have done? Things are not good with my wife. I'm still committed to making this as easy as possible for her, but I had to draw a line when it came to my daughter. Sir, you are not in a position to draw any line to anywhere. You shut the f*** up and take the consequences of your actions. When I got home from being unceremoniously escorted out of my office, she already had a bag packed for me. She wouldn't let me wait at the house until my daughter was back. She wouldn't let me check I had everything I needed. She wouldn't let me take the car. And she didn't care that I had nowhere to go. You seriously thought that anyone would feel sorry for you? If anyone would be on your side after this? I spent 2 nights in a hotel, then went back when she refused to let me see my little girl. She tried to stop me, but we owned the house jointly and it was my only option. The f***ing audacity going back there. My wife has family she could stay with, but she won't leave my daughter here and she's absolutely not taking her. So we are at a stalemate right now. You weren't really serious when you suggested that your wife would leave the house after you were the one who cheated on her. I'm keeping out of her way as best as I can, which I appreciate is the least I can do. The least what you could do is to go somewhere else and let them be for a while. The Amy situation is quite difficult to talk about and a lot hasn't sunk in yet. It turns out that she didn't love me as much as I loved her, if at all. Yeah, you loved her so much that you left her after an allergic reaction alone and she died. Her brother sent me images of her talking to her friends about me, and it's hard to believe they came from the person I loved, but they are real. Sorry to those who were heavily invested in me being a predatory but she and her friends had a good laugh about her manipulating me for money and a promotion. The role came with a big pay rise, and it looks like her plan was to go treat it as free cash, then go work with one of her friends when it fell through. Just another attempt to try to make himself the victim. This was the risk you decided to take as a married man when you started to date your employee. So yeah, maybe she did these things, but she died because of you. She knew I'd come under scrutiny whenever she messed up and assumed I'd keep stepping in to save her. She was right. Actually, the only time it would have mattered to save her, you failed. Obviously, I am completely humiliated. At least you're alive, which Amy cannot tell about herself. I was planning to give up everything to build a life with her, and she was treating me like a joke the whole time. My feelings are complicated, so please don't feel entitled to any expansion on this. But I no longer feel guilt over her death. Reddit acted like I kept her hostage whilst she begged for help. What actually happened was that I asked if she could ask her friend to take her to the hospital because I had to go home. She said that was fine because she needed to get some clothes back from her anyway. And I dropped her off as normal. I heard this story before, still not on your side. The fact that you don't even feel guilt over her death, I don't know, that's just crazy. Ultimately, she was an adult who had a better understanding of her medical needs than I did. Okay, but if you loved her so much, why didn't you make any research? I know way too much about brain tumors because that was the reality I lived with my boyfriend. And I lost him because of it. I didn't cause it, but I couldn't do anything to make it better. And I still feel like even though years passed since then. So how can you be okay 5 minutes after all this happened? It really makes zero sense to me. I still don't know what happened between us saying goodbye and her death, but whatever it was, it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with you. You witnessed her allergic reaction and you left her. If it would be up to me, you would rot in jail right now. I'm sorry for her family's loss, but I bear no responsibility for her passing. It's really scary that people like this exist and they are living around us. This is what I would call a monster. After Amy's messages to her friends were passed around, a few people quietly reached out with words of support. I assumed everyone would write me off like Reddit did as an and predator. It's beyond humiliating, but I have learned I'd rather be pitied than despised, and it improves my legal position with work. I'm pretty sure more people despise you than feeling sorry for you. You do not deserve pity. You deserved everything what you got and more. They are small mercies, but I take what I can get. I remain fired with regret, and I will have learned my lessons by the time I get through this. I may have been deceived, but I am a grown man who made my choices, and I take full responsibility for them. Is the taking full responsibility part with us in the room? Because all I learned after this update is that he blames everything on a dead person, and that he expects people to feel sorry for him. Anyway, I have another point of view from a colleague who worked with him in the same office. Because of it, we can be assured this story is 100% true and not creative writing or AI. I'm really curious what the colleague has to say about the story and the circumstances. I am a coworker of someone whose Reddit story about work went viral. I'm feeling chatty, so ask me anything, I guess. Inspired by this post where someone asked if they ever seen a Reddit post about themselves. I'm in the comments because I worked at the same company as this guy and in the same department as his affair partner, who died under very sad circumstances. You can read all about it from his perspective conveniently. We are so over with his perspective. I only joined Reddit quite recently, but I was aware of the post a few weeks after it was made, because it was passed around the office and gave us all a ton of information, which made a lot of things suddenly make sense. We were all extremely invested at the time, and weirdly, the story you all saw set up a series of events which basically led to an entire division of the company quitting. I've seen it repeated on a few of those TikTok Reddit read-through accounts, and a few people in the comments of the post I saw earlier today seemed interested. So, because the company didn't think to get me to sign any additional confidentiality agreements when I left, an equally dramatic but also closely related story, I figured I spend a Friday night drinking wine and spilling the tea if anyone wants some. One thing I do need to mention is that the original OP has a brain injury he didn't disclose in his posts. I can't speculate too much on that. And I'm not saying it makes his actions forgivable, but it would be crazy to pretend it's not a factor. He lives independently, but from what I'm aware, his brother helps him a lot. Oh my god. That makes so much more sense. I thought the original OP was a narcissist. But if he has the brain damage, of course he's behaving weird. Of course he's putting a blame on everyone else. I'm just surprised he never mentioned it. Because maybe that would make people be more on his side. Anyway, the colleague answers to a ton of questions in the comment section of this post. So I'm going to read a couple. It's so interesting how the fact that he had a brain injury changes this story and makes it make a different sort of sense. Like how on the other hand, you and your coworkers reading the Reddit post did the same but in a different way. Oh, for sure. We were absolutely horrified by some of the things people were saying to him when it started getting passed around. And we were really worried about how he'd take it all. There was talk of creating an account to explain, but because it was looking like it might end up in court, no one wanted to risk it. Can't blame them really, but it definitely meant how much that fact changes things. Did it end up going to court? No, they all used to abuse their expenses and they knew he could bury everyone if it ever saw the inside of a courtroom. He claimed to be running out of money in his last post, but it was common knowledge he got a huge payout after his accident. A sign wasn't properly mounted on a shop front and it fell on him when he was walking past. So he could easily afford it to take it all the way. I imagine the first question would have been why they give someone with brain damage a company card with no restrictions and no written policy on what they could and couldn't use it for. The tea is piping hot. So apparently the original OP had a brain injury and he was working for a corrupt company. I'm still flabbergasted that this story is real. There are a ton of more comments under the coworker's post. I will link it in the description. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments. I will reply them all and see you in the next one.